A team from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has concluded its visits to Ghana. The team, led by Carlo Stredlevich, arrived in Ghana on Tuesday, July 5, and started engagements the following day. The team met Vice President Alhaji Baumia, also the staff of the Ministry of Finance, as well as sector ministers, including the Finance Committee of Parliament, civil society organizations, among others. Well, for more on this, let's engage the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi. But let's bring you some of the finalities from that IMF meeting there, which will be showed on your screen shortly. So the IMF says that it has gathered data in order to assess which facility to provide Ghana. They also indicated that the Russia-Ukraine war is having a toll on Ghana's economic growth, and the COVID-19 pandemic has also worsened Ghana's fiscal debt situation. Let's go on Zoom now and speak with Professor John Gachi there with the Cape Coast Business School. Many thanks for your time, Doc. Now, the IMF has indicated that, the economic challenges in Ghana are real. However, they're also of the view that government can do enough. Do you agree?
Well, government can indeed do enough if government is willing to do what we shall call enough. By this time, government should know that we are in a very difficult times, as expressed by the IMF, dealing with the fiscal situation. The IMF described it to be a very difficult situation, dealing with the financial sector, monetary policy management. The IMF described it to be very challenging. And if you go to our reserve, it is described to be very challenging and near a halt. We cannot be experiencing these challenges and carry on board so many infrastructure projects, so many special flagship projects which need finances to start, to continue and complete. So I believe government should begin to look at that. And if that is done, if government is able to prune down the leakages, the wastage in the system, then that enough may be achieved.
Okay.
But as to whether government has the will to do that, I cannot tell.
Okay. Now, before, in the interim, before we get this bailout, what can governments do in the meantime to, ensure some economic stability until the IMF bailout is here?
Well, a lot can be done. I've mentioned some already. Realign the fiscal situation to bring about some kind of confidence in governance, and then try to align expenditure with the revenue we are getting. There are some programs and projects that government is carrying on, all to be reviewed to contain the situation we are facing. That is what the government should be doing right now.
Okay.
Remember, our situation is largely financial, it's largely physical, it's largely how the fiscal situation has actually affected the monetary policy management, fiscal dominance. Those are the issues that we are facing. And until we start addressing the fiscal side of the situation, I believe we will not do much. So all depends on government.
Okay. From where you sit, what type of support or what kind of support do you think the IMF would be giving us?
Well, I think from the statement given by the IMF has identified three issues: the fiscal difficulty, the monetary policy management difficulty, and then the low reserve that is getting very close to a halt. Then a reflection of these things on inequality, poverty, and general difficulty within the Ghanaian economy. So I believe there will be a program that will capture the effect that program will have on the reserve situation, That is balance of payment. And I also believe that there will be a kind of program that will identify or trying to recognize that we are in debt crisis to actually manage the debt. So I see a sort of restructuring of our debt, but how it will be done is not very clear.
All right, now talking about our debt, some CSOs have called for Ghana's debts to be cancelled. Do you agree?
Cancelled by who? Because if you look at our debt is largely into two parts. We have commercial debts that we have taken from investors from the bond market. That is huge. And you do not expect that individual who invests through bond, you call on them to cancel the debt. And that is a difficult thing to do because they don't owe you anything. You rather rely on their capital to utilize. Whether you utilize it well or not, it's not their business. They have given you. The other side is the bilateral and multilateral debt that is coming from institutions like the World Bank, IMF. If you have any reason to ask the IMF to provide that debt forgiveness, you can raise it. But I believe the debt forgiveness cancellation that was proposed when the COVID was intensive, I do not think that Ghana qualified because we could have grabbed that.
So we missed the opportunity.
But I believe we missed the opportunity. So calling for debt forgiveness, I don't know what that will mean for the creditors.
Okay.